You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Going back towards, looking up, see ya! 3,000, history!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Butler. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
All right, yes, we are back with Sports and Sorts, episode 128. I am one of your hosts. My name is Shane Moore,
And I'm your other host, the Brian Man.
and we have a lot to talk about today. Tons and tons of stuff to talk about on the show. Playoff baseball, Monday Night Football heroics with Aaron Rodgers, Thursday night picks, a movie that hasn't come out yet, but the Bry Man has seen it and he will review it. Manny Machado says something kind of stupid to The Athletic, and we also have the Giants owner who says something everyone is thinking to Odell Beckham Jr. Also, the NBA season has started, so we have a ton to talk about on the show today, and we got a great show, so let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bry Man.
And the other good news is that I have my my little horn, my little bell back. I figured out what was wrong with my iPad. Unfortunately, it's not hooked up to the actual soundboard yet, so it's going to be kind of filtered through my microphone at this point. But we should be able to hear it. So, all right. First thing to talk about today, first thing to bring up is a great man, Paul Allen, a brilliant man who owned the Seahawks and the Trailblazers. He has passed away. He passed away on October 15th. And the Bry Man has some thoughts about all this.
Yeah, it was sad. 65-year-old, incredibly intelligent businessman, and as you pointed out, sports owner, the co-founder of Microsoft with Bill Gates. Passed away a couple of days ago, complications of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Ugh. But, you know, this guy was really, really amazing. He packed a lot into 65 years. He really did. I mean, I think most people know of him, again, as the owner of the Seahawks, the owner of the Trailblazers, again, the co-founder of Microsoft with Bill Gates. He was very, very responsible for keeping the Seahawks in the Pacific Northwest. They were set to move about 22 years ago. And back in 1996, Paul Allen was really the guy who was very much responsible for keeping them there. And in turn, he's essentially responsible for the creation of the 12th man. He really he fought very hard to keep that team there. He funded the building of their stadium, which I think is it Century Link Park or something like that, wherever it is now that the Seahawks play. Mm-hmm. But great man. I think one of the interesting things about his life too is that, and maybe a lot of people don't know this, very similar. He had a very similar kind of contentious relationship that sort of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak had with Apple. These guys were actually like really at each other's throats quite a bit. They started off as friends when they were kids, and they bonded over the love of computers. And that was sort of how their relationship developed. And I think actually even Bill Gates might have convinced Paul Allen to either drop out of high school or college early in his life to help him co-found Microsoft. And they did. They built it together. Their relationship did not last very long. I think it was maybe about 6 or 7 years before it really just started to fall apart. And Gates right off the bat was already more of a majority owner, but but Allen was very much involved. But just, you know what? I mean, we don't want to spend too much time here, but you know what? Google Paul Allen. He was an amazing man, and really leaves behind a legacy of incredible achievement and accomplishment.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's not just sports. A fascinating life. I actually read an article on CNN this morning that actually kind of talked about how a lot of his legacy is defined by the battle that he had with Bill Gates. But there's a lot of interesting tidbits in that article too that talk about, you know, traveling the world, hanging out with celebrities. He was a scuba diver. He started a band. He was a billionaire philanthropist with varied hobbies and interests. He paid for expeditions to find World War II shipwrecks, funded brain disease research, opened a museum dedicated to his idol Jimi Hendrix. I mean, the guy has just it's this fascinating laundry list of accomplishments and interests. A really, really interesting guy to read up on. I'd love to read a book about him someday if there's ever like an autobiography, I'd love to read it. But, you know, very sad at his passing. Great man, very much responsible for keeping the Seahawks in Seattle. And, you know, may he rest in peace.
Yes, absolutely. That was very well said. All right. We're going to move on, and we're going to head on over to one of the sports that he did not own a team in. He owned it in two of the major sports. He had a basketball team and a football team, but one of the sports that he did not own was baseball, and that's what we're going to head into first.
Play ball!
And we have two matchups right now: the Dodgers versus the Brew Crew, and the Sox versus the Stros. Two matchups. One is seemingly a little bit closer than the other. But first thing I wanted to kind of talk about was I want to mention an article that was from The Athletic regarding Manny Machado by Ken Rosenthal. And Ken Rosenthal asks Manny a question after he wasn't hustling down the line on a ground ball to short. And Rosenthal asks, and I'm going to paraphrase this a bit to keep it kind of short, but he said, this is what Rosenthal said. He said, whenever I see you and ask how you're doing, you say, I'm chilling. I know that's your personality, that's how you are, but there was a ball the other night and you didn't run hard. Manny, you know this. At this time of year, people notice that kind of thing. So how would you explain it? What happened? So Manny Machado goes in and he says, I've been thinking about it, and every time it happens, there's no excuse for it, honestly. I've never given excuses for not running. I'm not hurt. There's no excuses, but I've been the same player for years. Obviously, I'm not going to change. I'm the type of player who's not going to be Johnny Hustle and run down the line and slide into first base. You know, whatever can happen. That's just not my personality. Should I have run on that pitch? Yeah, but I didn't, and I got to pay the consequences for it. And he said, on 3-0, I'm trying to drive one out. I hit a 100-mile-an-hour ground ball, and Rosenthal puts in parentheses, actually 76 miles an hour, right into the shift, right to the shortstop. Before I even step out of the box, I look to the shortstop. He has the ball in his hands, and I'm like, I'm out. I mean, what am I going to do? Should I have given it a little bit more effort? 100%. It's my fault, like always. I mean, that's just my mentality when I'm in the game. There are things that you learn, things that you got to change. I've tried changing it for 8 years, and I still can't figure it out. One of these days, I will. So he's a little bit backwards, because originally, you know, he said in his first sentence, he said, I've been doing this way for years. It's not my personality. But then he wraps it up with, I've tried changing it for 8 years. I still can't figure it out, but one of these days I will. It's kind of like the alcoholic, you know, like I'm gonna fix it eventually. I'll fix it. And I keep going to, you know, AA, and I haven't quite fixed it yet, but I will get it there eventually. And there comes a point where you just think it's just never going to happen. I mean, this is nowhere near that level of severity. But, you know, this interview came out, and does it sound bad? I mean, I guess it depends on what side of the fence you lie on with hustling all the time. But then, you know, he has a game where he blatantly drags his foot across Aguilar's heel on the bag, which kind of, you know, amplifies this whole thing because that's just kind of dirty. I mean, at least he manned up during the game, apologized to Aguilar the next time he was on first base. So, whatever. That is what it is. That, you could see how Aguilar's foot was kind of in the way. Obviously, when he stretched, it wasn't, but, he blatantly dragged his foot across the guy's heel. Yep. So, whatever. But does this fire me up and want to say, yeah, forget Machado, that lazy SOB? Of course, because I hustled all the time when I played sports. I felt like it wasn't an option not to hustle. I just, you always just gave your all. But this isn't new to sports. I mean, we had Cano, who was notorious for this. We have Gary Sanchez, who's notorious for this. I mean, we've even seen Gardy break it down on a ball he thought was caught, but actually bounced off the top of the wall, or he thought was a homer and not get to third, but he only gets a double, or he doesn't get an inside the park home run when if he was running the whole way, he probably would have. It happens in sports a lot, and I'm not going to crucify Machado for this. I hope that he corrects his lollygagging ways, but I also realize that it's highly unlikely that he's going to change his bad habits, even though he thinks one of these days he'll likely figure it out.
Yeah, I had two words that came to mind when I read this, and it was compounded by the fact that he, I think the dirty. I don't think his slides into second base were dirty to break up double plays. I'm okay with that. In fact,
I'm fine with sliding into second base. That never really bothers me.
In some ways, I actually kind of applaud that because that just kind of shows you being aggressive and you're trying to break up a double play.
That's Johnny Hustle.
Whatever he did with Jesus Aguilar, that was dirty. There's just no
that was A-Rod, saying, "Hey, I got it."
Jesus Aguilar did not have his foot halfway into the bag. He was, in fact, you could see that Machado somewhat sort of tilted into him a little bit as he was heading down the base path, and he clearly did kick him on purpose. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Yeah. But the two words that come to mind here are buyer beware. If you are willing to spend $300 million for an admitted loafer, then you make that bed, you have to lay in it. So if you're going to spend that kind of money, and this is to you, Brian Cashman, if you're going to spend $300 million for a guy like Manny Machado, then you have to accept whatever comes with that. Because and you know what? I'll give Manny Machado a little credit. He threw out a warning. He has now thrown out a warning to every team in baseball saying, FYI, you're going to pay me a ton of money, and here's what you're going to get. Yeah, you'll get the production. You'll get the 30 home runs, the 100 RBIs. He'll probably hit 300. He'll play a solid third base if that's where you're going to play him. He'll be an average shortstop if that's where you're going to play him defensively. But you're going to get Robinson Cano-like effort. You'll get Robinson Cano-like production, but you're going to get that kind of an effort. I guess the only difference between him and Cano is, at least he admitted it. At least he's kind of come out and said, but look, buyer beware. If you're going to spend $300 million on this guy, here's what you're getting. Now, if I'm the Yankees, I don't touch him after this. And I will absolutely go back and revise my 6-point plan to save the Yankees. Because if that's the guy that you're going to get, an admitted loafer, and he told Ken Rosenthal, of all guys. By the way, Ken Rosenthal did a really good job of setting that question up. I mean, he really did. As somebody with a journalism background, I like the way he kind of eased into that question. He really did set Machado up. I don't think he was trying to set him up for that, and I don't think he expected that kind of response. I'm sure he didn't, but he got it. Here's the thing, and it's, you know what, I know it's tough to make these analogies between, like, sports and the way we conduct ourselves in the real world, because let's be honest, they're very different. They are both businesses, but they're very different. But here's the thing, and this is, I think it's very simple. If you were interviewing Manny Machado for a job, and that's the description he gave of himself, you wouldn't even give him a second thought. And certainly not at $300 million, you would not give him a second thought. Look, you can say whatever you want about the guy's production. We know what he'll produce. We understand all that. But that was like a job interview. And he flunked badly. I'm sorry. There's really you can say I don't care what anyone says about his production. if you're going to sit there in front of me in a job interview and you're going to say, well, I'll produce, but my style of play is not really conducive to the culture of your organization. All right, well, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Yeah, you may be really productive. You may be really good at what you do. But if your attitude, your personality don't fit into my culture, I want nothing to do with you. And look, and again, I know look, I work in a corporate business environment, okay? But I will tell you that while production is absolutely valued, the other thing that's valued is attitude and personality. My mentor always taught me, she said, look, if you're ever in a position like I am and you're a manager and you want to hire someone, keep this in mind. You can train for skill and productivity, but you cannot teach attitude and personality. Now, again, I know that these things differ a little bit because you probably can't teach the kind of talent that Manny Machado has either. But if there's even a 1% chance that this guy could be a cancer to your clubhouse and that his sort of attitude could rub off on the rest of your team, keep him away from the New York Yankees. Please. That's all I have to say about it.
All right, well, just on a counterpoint here, he said that he's not going to hustle every single time. That's what he said. That's just what he does. He's not going to, when he hits a line drive, that one hopper to the shortstop, he's probably going to break it down just because it hits him. I'm out. There's no way, because he's used to this is the major leagues. They shouldn't be making errors or whatever. And obviously he was out there, but he didn't hustle down the line. Now, I will say, if you watched the whole game, you saw the Dodgers, very entertaining game, 13-inning game with a walk-off hit by Cody Bellinger, where Machado seemed to be hustling home and scored a winning run on a single to right by Cody Bellinger. And he got there, slid in, got fired up, did all that. So it's not that he's not hustling. He's just not doing it on every single play. And that seems to be very much in the mentality of a lot of newer baseball players. They break it down early because they just assume they're out. Now, is that right? No, I don't think it's right, but it just seems there's so many players across the board that do that. Now, as far as his talent and everything goes, you have so many players in the past that have done stuff like this, that have caused, been kind of clubhouse cancers, or you'd like to call them, like a Reggie Jackson and, Billy Martin. They had huge feuds. They won together. What really makes a team cohesive is winning. And I think that I love having good chemistry with the team. I think it's amazing to have. But the ultimate thing that actually brings teams together is winning. And having talent like Machado is something that you can't teach. It's impossible to teach. You can only make that talent even better. And I would say, as far as that goes, I think either if they get Harper or Machado, either way, it's going to be good for the Yankees. And I don't think that his comments are that bad. It's not something I would do, but I don't think it's that bad. We've had plenty of players. We won a World Series, in 2009. We had players like that on the team. You can win. Obviously, Manny Ramirez won a ton of championships with the Red Sox. He played like that all the time. So it's not like it's not something that you can't win with. So, all right. But my favorite part in the Dodgers game yesterday was when Rich Hill went bananas after giving up the game-tying hit. He pitched 5 strong innings with 6 Ks, only gave up 3 hits, but he went straight up Paul O'Neill in the dugout, throwing and kicking things, gum flying everywhere. It was absolutely beautiful. It was amazing. I love how the 38-year-old Rich Hill holds himself to such high standard and is able to kick a candy bucket better than most of the kickers in the NFL. And I applaud him for his intensity, his pitching ability, and his passion for the game. So that's on a different note. Like, he's actually holding himself to those standards, and I just want to applaud Rich Hill for that intensity. I really enjoyed that, and for them to come back, and Cody Bellinger to come back, who has not been having a great postseason so far, especially at bat. made a nice play in the outfield, and something that you would see with John Sterling. Oh, when the guy makes a play in the outfield like that, Susan, you know what's going to happen the next time he comes up to the plate. He's going to, knock in the game-winning hit. Just always happens. They always do something special after they make a great play in the outfield. And Cody Bellinger did. It was a really fun game. It was an entertaining 13 innings, stressful 13 innings. What did you think about the game? Did you enjoy seeing Rich Hill go crazy or...
I love that stuff.
Yeah,
sure. I love that stuff. I'm an angry person. I like other angry people. Who would I ever be to criticize that kind of stuff? No, I love guys who play with passion. You want more of those guys. I mean, look, you can't have all guys like that because then you would just have a dugout of people fighting, which would actually also be very entertaining. It'd be like the Cleveland Indians in Major League or something. Where like the Indians are fighting each other. They're showing life for the first time in weeks. I mean, you can't have a dugout full of them, but you know what? Championship teams sometimes have guys like that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need. You know what? Look, in hockey, you have enforcers. In basketball, you have Draymond Greens. In baseball, you have Paul O'Neills. There are these kinds of guys that, play with an extra level of passion. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it can rear its ugly head in different ways, in ways that, might not be so appealing. But but then again, you want guys like that on your team. Yeah. So I like it. Great game. This is a great series. I think it's going 7. I still got the Brewers in 7. Mm-hmm. But hey, I mean, look, the Dodgers they're not gonna be pushover. And now the Dodgers are in the driver's seat because you got Kershaw today. So
yeah.
But and I almost would call it a must win for them because
it's a must win for them and for Kershaw.
And for him, yeah. I mean, yes, it's great that they pulled even, but essentially, I think they're playing 2 must-win games in a row. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you take your chances. You got 2 shots in Milwaukee.
Yeah. And it's actually the Athletic, I'm assuming, has a great article. It's a great website. If you guys haven't subscribed to it or anything like that, go ahead and check it out. I subscribed to it a while ago, right when they offered the subscription. I signed up. I think they have so many established writers that are just amazing, like Ken Rosenthal. But it's a really good website, and they actually have an article that I'm going to be reading after the show today, and it's about Clayton Kershaw and his stuff that's kind of, dwindling. It's leaving him a little bit, and I want to read that article. I want to see what it's all about, because his stuff isn't quite as good as it used to be. He's not throwing a mid-90 fastball anymore, and he's got to get really into that pitching mode, and hopefully he can channel his inner Andy Pettitte and get a win. But let's get on over to by MLB standards, and probably most people's standards, the more important games that are going on right now, the Red Sox versus the Houston Astros. And Houston's Dallas Keuchel went toe-to-toe with Nathan Eovaldi. They both pitched well enough to win, but, eventually the Astros bullpen, they blew it, which is weird because you would expect the other way around. And I can't say there is a guy on either of these teams that deserves to blow a game as much as Roberto Osuna. So I was actually happy to see that happen. Even though it was the Red Sox playing the Astros, if a guy was going to blow it, that's the guy I want to blow it because I just can't stand him. He's a bad human being. But I mentioned, this on the last show, that you can't take it easy on anyone this time of year. You get unlikely heroes, and this time the unlikely candidate was Jackie Bradley Jr. And I don't know if I blame this completely on A.J. Hinch for keeping Osuna out there, but I definitely falls on his shoulders because he clearly did not have it. Do you want to mention anything about the Houston Astros or anything like that? I mean, I could go on and on. I have so much to talk about with this game.
After Game 2, where the Red Sox won, I immediately started with the 5 stages of grief, knowing where this was all headed. So last night was whatever stage 2 is, I don't know. Maybe stage 2 acceptance, I'm not even sure. But we all know the Red Sox are winning the World Series. It's been a coronation since August. We've just been waiting for the coronation. And everything is playing out exactly as I thought it would. I had the Red Sox beating the Brewers in 5 games in the World Series. We're not far from that. Look, the Red Sox are the best team in baseball. They have been all year. They're winning. Just like you said, when you winning postseason games, we've seen this so many times as Yankee fans. Yes, the unlikeliest of heroes get walk-off hits. the unlikeliest of men come up big in the biggest spots. Scott Brocious is probably the first one that comes to mind. Luis Sojo hit 147 hopper up the middle against Al Leiter in game 5 of the World Series that ended up being the World Series winning hit. Jose Vizcaino in that same World Series got the walk-off single against the Mets in the 2000 World Series. I mean, look, we've seen this kind of stuff forever and ever. I mean, Chuck Knobloch, who was a GOAT, and I don't mean that in the greatest of all time sense. I mean like a meh kind of GOAT. He hit a huge game-tying home run in the World Series, I think, against the Braves in '99. I mean, you get that kind of GOAT. So, yeah, sometimes these unlikely guys, and Jackie Bradley Jr., who's actually been somewhat, I think most Red Sox fans would even say, hey, he's not quite as good. I don't know if you want to call him an underachiever, but I don't think he's quite lived up to the billing that I think a lot of Red Sox fans
overachiever on defense and underachiever on offense.
Right. But hey, he got the hit of his life last night. And we all know the Red Sox are going to win the World Series. We all do. Anyone who thinks the Red Sox are not winning the World Series just can't see the forest for the trees. We all know how this plays out. Yeah. This is one of those years. The Red Sox have one of these years once every few years. They're like UConn. They're like the UConn men's basketball team. Once every X amount of years, they're going to win a championship. It's just the way it is. And they're a great team. They're well run. You know, Dombrowski actually pushed a lot of right buttons this year. The bullpen is obviously suspect, but the bullpen is not blown up. And I said that would not be their fatal flaw, despite what you and the beautiful mind think. That bullpen is not going to cost this team a World Series. There's just no way. There's too much talent in that lineup. They might just bludgeon their way to a championship, which doesn't happen often, but they might.
So, speaking of bludgeoning their way to a championship, they have Steve Pearce on their team, and I still don't understand why anybody is pitching to Steve Pearce. I think, I mean, the guy almost had 2 homers yesterday, and one actually left the yard, and I have no idea how he actually hit that ball out. That ball was so inside, and he just tucked his hands in, let the bat lag through the zone, and somehow kept that ball fair. And to me, that was like the most impressive swing of the night. That might be the most impressive swing I've seen this year in the postseason. There are not many people who are able to do that. The one person that comes to mind that could do that, and he was a prolific home run hitter. Granted, he had some help with some PEDs, but Barry Bonds was great at doing that. He was so good at keeping the ball fair down the line by letting the bat kind of go through the zone. And that was just incredibly impressive. But as far as the bullpen goes, they have turned it around so far. And it's not like they were really needed in this game, and they haven't really been needed much. And the Yankees have that team that isn't really the comeback team, and they almost took it over a couple of times. But the Houston Astros, if they are within a couple runs, I would absolutely be terrified as a Red Sox fan, because the only reason why this didn't matter is that the Sox took a 6-run lead. The game was pretty much it was over. And, that's when I turned on the Celtics playing the 76ers, which I'll talk about a little bit later at the end of the show. But one thing's for sure, I am not sure why the Houston Astros are sticking with Charlie Morton going forward. I mean, I like the guy, but they absolutely cannot go 3-1 down, because it's absolutely over if they do. I mean, I probably would have moved Verlander up a game, but so far they haven't. And because of this, Morton needs to channel last year's postseason success and pitch huge. Porcello, on the other hand, has been pitching pretty well this postseason. He's the top 5 of the Astros lineup, sees the ball really well out of Porcello's hand. So if they are not hitting him, this is going to be an early night for the Stros, and they're going to have to hope for a huge game from Morton. As of right now, it's not looking good for the Astros. But like I said, if they win tonight with Morton on the hill, then you have to like their chances going forward winning the series, because they have Verlander still.
Well, they're in the same spot, though, as basically the Dodgers are in, because they have to win tonight, and then they got to win with Verlander on the mound. Mm-hmm. And then you go back to Fenway.
Right. And that's, you have to win. You have to win on the road. And they've both proven that they can do that in each lineup. John Benton post, the Dodgers look like they might survive. There is a chance. I mean, they have Kershaw going. There is a good chance that they could do it. That is a very even matchup right now. It's it's almost like uncallable right at this point in time. Like I can't really say who's going to win because it seems like right when one of the teams feel like they have it and the momentum's in their favor, the other team takes a win.
Yeah, it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip right now, but I like the Dodgers chance. I mean, again, I'm sticking with the Brewers because that was my pick, but I still like the Dodgers chance. You got Kershaw. You have
Kershaw,
this,
Rich Hill. They have talent on the mound.
Yeah, they have this series set up for them to win. If they don't, it's on them, and it'll likely end up being on Kershaw if they don't win tonight.
Offense too. So
unless Kershaw pitches brilliantly tonight and they get no run support, I mean that's possible.
That's unlikely, but yeah. Lastly, the thing I wanted to mention the most was this is something that kind of just went and I was like completely in awe. Alex Bregman. Man, I have never really liked this guy. He seems like way too cocky, a little too small, but that man can ball. I mean, some of the plays he makes at third leave me absolutely like awestruck. And then he comes up to bat, and the bat, and the plays that he makes on offense, just putting the ball in play. And he is, talk about a Johnny Hustle type of guy.
Yep.
That is a Johnny Hustle type of guy. The dude is just great. He absolutely won me over just last night in a loss. His play, running down the line, getting all fired up, all of that stuff. He absolutely won me over, particularly with his plays at defense, because we haven't seen plays like that at third in a long time. And there's not many players that play third base that can make plays like that. Adrian Beltre is one of them. Scotty Brocious back in the day, he was one of those guys that can make plays like that. But I don't even think Scotty had that much range. This guy has tons of range. So it was really fun to watch him play. And holy cow, he is a talented player. Anything else you want to talk about with this the October playoffs postseason? Anything else that you want to shine a light on before we
No. At this point, I'm just expecting the worst and hoping for the best.
All right. Well, we're going to play a quick commercial. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. We're going to be do a quick recap of Monday Night Football. Then we're going to head over to our Thursday Night Football picks. Denver Broncos versus the Arizona Cardinals. Have a little bit of talk about maybe Odell Beckham. Brian's going to give his Halloween review, which comes out this week. He saw it last night. Yes, he saw it a couple days early. He's going to give his review. He was really fired up to go see it. I'm anxious to hear what he has to say about it. And of course, I'll briefly touch on the NBA. All right, we'll be right back after this quick message from us in a commercial by my brother.
Gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman. 75% sports and 25% sorts.
I did get your text message, by the way. I want to briefly talk about a little bit of do a quick recap of Monday Night Football, which was so entertaining. So entertaining because my God, is Aaron Rodgers good? That dude, I mean, a total general on the field. And he even pointed at McCarthy at the end of the game and was like, nope, we're going for another try here. Get a little closer for my boy Crosby. And after he connected with Crosby, now that he had a chip shot available, he points at him again. He's like, nope, we have to give it one more try. Just to take the shot at the end zone to ensure there's only 3 seconds left on the clock, so there's no way the 49ers even have an opportunity to score again. It was just so incredibly impressive. I feel bad for him too, because his O-line is not good. His defense is not good. And I wish they could just put a few great options around him to protect him a bit more, because oh my God, is he so darn good. I feel bad for him. I do, because he's just going to keep getting injured if they don't put some people around him to protect him.
I'll tell you what. I don't like quoting Stephen A. Smith because I'm not really a big fan of his.
Well,
but Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. That's a bad man. There is just nothing that guy can't do on the football field. I'm sure you've seen this question asked a lot. I see it on social media all the time. It's an annual question. It's a weekly question. And whenever the NFL is in play. And the question is, who would you want to conduct a game-winning, nay, Super Bowl-winning drive at quarterback? If you had to win the game. I'm sorry, I don't care how many championships Tom Brady has won. The answer to the question is Aaron Rodgers, and it's the only answer. There are no other answers to the question. Can you I mean, look, you pointed it out. He does not have a good offensive line right now. He's constantly under duress. I have yet to see, and maybe it's because he's under so much duress that he's developed this sort of sixth sense in the pocket about when it's collapsing. But look, the things that Aaron Rodgers does, you can't teach.
No.
Okay? His ability to move forward in the pocket, his ability to avoid pressure, his ability, even at his mid to late stages in his career, to still run with the ball. One of the biggest plays in that game, in that drive, was that 20-plus yard run that he had.
And that was after he really aggravated his knee because they jammed it into the ground.
After he was tackled from behind, pulled down by his feet, and then went down head first, and you could see he was in pain. I was like, oh, is he done? Again, he's unbelievable. I'm sorry, there is one answer to that question, and the answer is Aaron Rodgers. The answer to all of your quarterback questions is Aaron Rodgers. He's
if you had
great.
to put it in a tier, it'd be like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I mean, you could literally make an argument for both, but yes, I'm in the boat with you. I would say, yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers. It has to be.
It's got to be, and I wouldn't even think it's close. And I know that Tom Brady has conducted a lot of game-winning and Super Bowl-winning drives. Unfortunately, we've bore witness to many of them. But I'm sorry, if you got to give me one guy to win it all, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's the best in the business.
The difference is because for Tom Brady has always had a pretty good offensive line. He doesn't move around outside the pocket. Like he's a pocket passer. He's very good inside the pocket. He's probably one of the best ever inside the pocket.
Very few teams have been able to harass Tom Brady, especially in big games. The Giants
did twice.
Kind of the ones that come to mind. Yeah. And look, that's the formula to beating Tom Brady. It's the worst kept secret in the world.
But the other thing is that you got
to rattle his cage.
You even have Tom Brady. He has Edelman, Gordon, and Gronk right now. I understand. Aaron Rodgers has Jimmy Graham,
and James White.
Jimmy Graham is not Gronkowski. He's probably not even top 5 tight end. But he's close. He's close to that. But Gronk and Graham are very different. Very different.
Oh, very.
And then you have
he has Devontae Adams, who is definitely
yes, but
who's a really, really good player. A really good player. I mean, very smooth.
Now, besides the off the field problems that Gordon has had, I mean, you take one of those two guys, it's kind of 1A, 1B. And Gordon could even be a lot better than Adams. I mean, Gordon could be the best receiver in football if you could just get away with those problems. Now you have Edelman, who's still a top 10 wide receiver. He catches a lot of balls. I mean,
he's a pain.
It's very talented. I mean, that team, it just is two very different people. But let's see. On no other team would you be saying Edelman is a great asset. I don't know if I would say that because he runs great routes. He's very quick.
I disagree with that. He might not be as great
with the right quarterback. I think he would be with the right quarterbacks. Yeah,
I think a guy like Drew Brees he would work well with.
Aaron Rodgers.
I think Rodgers, obviously. Yeah. I mean, again, the answer to all your questions is Aaron Rodgers. We don't even need to include it anymore. And I would even say I think there are certain quarterbacks who could really work well with a guy like Edelman. I think maybe guys with quick releases. Phillip Rivers would probably have a pretty good rapport with a guy like Julian Edelman. I don't think that's quite fair. It's not all Brady on that one, but
he would do well with Patrick Mahomes. Everybody can. Yeah. So anyway, when it comes down to Aaron Rodgers and the fourth quarter, one thing happens.
He was doing his job.
That's it. That's what he does. He goes in there, especially in that fourth quarter. He is a total general, total badass. All right, let's get into Thursday Night Football. We're heading to Arizona, where the Denver Broncos face the Arizona Cardinals. And this matchup, I noted it. We both got the Green Bay Packer game right last week. I put it on the thing. You're destroying life, man. I have to look at this real quick, but when it comes to picking, you are. Oh man, you're 5 games over 500. You're killing it. You're killing it.
Yeah.
You are 14-9.
14-9.
Yeah, I'm.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I'm 13-15. It's not great, but I'm getting a little better. A little bit better. You know.
Okay.
It's a little bit better. All right, so heading to Thursday Night Football, where we have the Denver Broncos versus the Arizona Cardinals. This matchup, I am slightly intrigued by. It's definitely not going to be our. There's no way that it's going to be our game of the week. This is a boring game of the week. It's unfortunate for Thursday Night Football that this game is going on.
I think it's quite fitting that it's on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully with a lot of the primetime games of late, there have been some entertaining games. Whether it's Thursday, Monday, Sunday, there have been some entertaining games, which is why the NFL ratings have probably spiked up a little bit over the last couple weeks because of those games.
Next Thursday's game ain't going to be much better either. Dolphins at Texans.
I mean, it could be a good game. Might not be what you're looking for in a game, but, hey, Adam Gase, quarterback whisperer, finally got a guy that he can whisper to, and that's Osweiler.
Well, the truth is Brock Osweiler knows that offense even better than Tannehill does. So,
well, that's
not
what you want.
No, it's not. You're right. But it also doesn't surprise me that he executed the offense either as well or in some cases slightly better than Tannehill.
Okay. All right. So the reason why I'm interested in this game a little bit, and I will watch it probably maybe end of third, fourth quarter to see how close it is. I may keep a little close eye on it during the first half. But I want to see Rosen play. I want to see him play. I want to see David Johnson play. And I know that, the Broncos, they are what they are. And this is kind of what I've been kind of harping on. They're like a 500 team, maybe a little below 500, because Case Keenum is not great. He's not even really good. He's a bottom third quarterback in the league, and that's just not going to get it done on this team. They need somebody better than him. I expect
he's a placeholder.
Yeah, exactly. And it's unfortunate they spent so much money on him. I expect this to be a close game with minimal scoring, and I expect the Broncos to win this, but because they should win, but I'm going to take the Cardinals because I want to see Rosen and Johnson lead this offense down the field, wear out the defense throughout the first 3 quarters, and put points on the board late in the game. And I'm going to go with the Cardinals winning 24-20, only because the Cardinals are at home, and I have a feeling with the momentum of being at home and hopefully wearing out the team with David Johnson, had that beautiful throw that Rosen has, hitting his receivers when they need him, getting checkdowns with Johnson, really wearing out that defense, because that's how you beat this team. If you can wear out their defense and keep them on the field, their offense can't keep up with you. So as long as Case Keenum doesn't go bananas, start hitting Emmanuel Sanders over and over and over again for 70-yard bombs, I really feel it's going to be a low-scoring game, 24-20, Cardinals win. What do you got?
This is frustrating because I thought I was going to have more.
Clint said need Cards to win to get Bills closer to the first pick. That's also kind of where my underlining heart lies here. This is I really want them to win. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little disappointing because I actually thought I was going to have a pretty original take on this game. But
no, you're going to pick the Cardinals?
It's a total gut feeling. I actually am not going on anything other than gut, other than just to say I don't know. There's something about this game. I don't like the Broncos on the road. I feel like the Cardinals are going to maybe show up a little bit. Mm-hmm. The Cardinals I know have not been good, but at the same time, I kind of feel like in a lot of ways, especially with a rookie quarterback early on in the season, you're sorting through things. You're starting to figure things out. Things will start to click. Things will start to make sense. And this might be the right opponent at the right time for the Cardinals to maybe look better than they have been. Mm-hmm. Again, I think you kind of covered it with the Broncos. They sort of are who they are. They are a 500 team. They're not really dynamic in any sense. Not even technically sure what their identity is either. Certainly not offensively. I mean, their identity would certainly be more as of a defensive team. But on offense, they have no identity really at all. I mean, their running back situation is I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's not good.
It's not great. No.
And then Case Keenum is just he's Case Keenum. It's just not a team that scares you. And I think maybe the Cardinals defense will be up for this on tomorrow night. I have a feeling they're going to show up. I think they're going to put some pressure on Keenum, and that's not good. And I think it'll be a tight game because I don't think this is one of those games where either of these teams can pull away from the other one. Uh-huh. So I'm going to go 20-16 Cardinals.
So you also have a 4-point game, but you have
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a gut feeling. The Broncos probably should win, but I just don't think they're gonna.
All right. Let me mark that down. Make sure I have it written down so that we can get this in there. And that is Shane and Brian both have the Cardinals winning, which I really thought I was going to be able to pull up there if I got the win.
Sorry.
24-20, and you have Cards
2016.
20-16. All right. So, all right. Let's I'm gonna real quick. I want to talk about something that we have not talked about in a while, and I have to turn this football music off because I have to get into
my favorite music.
This is great music. It is great music. I want to talk the NBA just real quick. I know it's really early in the season. Nobody really watches the NBA for the first 3-4 months of the season. The regular NBA, the NBA season, the regular season is just brutally long.
It starts in the fall and ends in the summer.
Yeah, it is a long, long season. They really need to figure out how to condense that a little bit.
Hockey's the same.
Yes,
it's the same thing.
And everybody gets into playoffs too. Both. Yeah, it's like they really need to figure this out. But quick little talk about season tip-off where we get to see the Celtics play one of the best teams in the East in the 76ers, and the Warriors play OKC, who's probably going to be one of the best teams in the West, but they didn't have Russ last night. And Russ has some knee injuries, and it's going to be a little bit more entertaining when Russ comes back. But last night it kind of showed they easily had their way with OKC. But these are the two teams that are likely going to be in the finals, and I honestly think, and I said this last year, the Celtics have a legit shot to beat the Warriors, and the Celtics don't even need Hayward anymore. Tatum is by far a superior player, plays the same exact position, and they can get whatever it is they want from Hayward before the trade deadline. They can figure out a way to trade him, get some more draft picks, whatever they want, whatever they need. They want to upgrade at point guard or something like that, or a shooting guard, because obviously they have Kyrie Irving. They want to do that, they can. They have the ability to do that. And I'm not even going off of Gordon Hayward being rusty last night, because he was very rusty. He's going to be rusty probably for the first couple weeks. Oh, yeah. It's going to take some time to get back into game shape. And Kyrie Irving, he was even, but I'm not harping on Kyrie Irving because I know what Kyrie Irving's going to bring you. He's going to bring you. He looked tired yesterday, but he's going to bring you success. And Hayward will bring you success, but there is no room for him anymore. Tatum is a far superior player. He shook Embiid last night, and that is hard to do. But it was a very, very entertaining game to watch, just to get to see both sides. And the 76ers are a very talented team, and they are going to be there at the end. But the Celtics are just so darn good. And then what's that?
Well, I was going to say what was troubling for the Sixers, though, was Markelle Fultz looked like a D-League player last night. Yeah. He couldn't hit layups. He was just awful.
And then they just took him out of the game. They didn't even bring him back in.
He put up some ugly shots. Yeah. He just didn't. He did. Again, it's early. You don't want to. You don't want to put too much into game one.
He's another one that they have to keep throwing out there, especially early in the season. You don't have to worry about it this early. Like I said, it's a long season. Do not worry about it for the first month. You're still going to beat bad teams, even with bad or good Markelle Fultz, but you need to get Markelle Fultz on the team if you want to have a shot against the Celtics.
Because you can't get caught up in game one.
If he's a 15 to 17 point scorer, now you're talking, we could actually take the Celtics to a 7-game series, and if it's a 7-game series, it's anybody's game. So there, you have to really hope that pick turns out okay, because as of right now, it's just they aren't on the same page. It's head and shoulders the length above that the Celtics are better than the 76ers, and I think right now the Celtics and Warriors are looking at basically eyeball to eyeball, and it just matters who's healthiest at the end of the season. And I think that Brad Stevens is a better coach than Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr's a great coach.
At some point, you and I will have to do our predictions for the NBA season. Although I can already tell you what mine is.
I think everybody's going to think Celtics and the Warriors in the finals.
Yes.
I do think the Lakers are going to do much better than most people are predicting, but we can get into all that. But now to end the NBA talk, because I know that it's too early. It's too early to talk NBA, but I'm going to bring it up every once in a while because I like it. I think that your ex-boy Kawhi is going to have a very talented team over in Toronto. I think they're going to play well this year. Unfortunately, your Spurs might not be very good, and my Houston Rockets aren't going to be as good. But
the Spurs took a big hit this year. DeJounte Murray, I think, is out for the year. Yeah. I don't know if he tore an ACL or something, but
it's not good.
No, that's not good. He was going to be a big part of that team, and I was actually kind of excited to see this team. It was going to be a very different team for the first time in a long time. And Ginobili is gone. Any remnants at all of the dynasty teams are gone. Parker's gone. Yeah. Duncan's long gone. It was really going to be a new team, kind of built around DeRozan and DeJounte Murray was going to be a big part of that too. Now I think the expectations really have to be tempered. I mean, they could be a playoff team, but then again, anybody in the West, 8 teams in the West are going to be playoff teams. So, but they could be a 7 or an 8 seed or out. It wouldn't shock me at all if they didn't make it.
All right. Okay. So let's switch topics here, and we have to get into,
where do you think you're going?
It's time to sort it out.
I'm going to sort it out.
Because we got to get into some
swords.
Brian Man's swords. Brian got the chance to see a movie that's coming out very soon. It's actually coming out tomorrow. It debuts tomorrow. He has been super amped up about this. I want to know, did it live up to expectations?
I have been excited for this movie for 2 years since it was announced that in the first things you heard about the Halloween movie was that Danny McBride was involved in it, and I think immediately my first thought was, oh my god, Danny McBride involved in a Halloween movie. But I'll tell you what.
Thanks.
I'll tell you what though. So just to catch people up. So here's the background behind this Halloween movie. It is a sequel, but it is a sequel to the first Halloween movie, the original 1978 movie. Everything that took place after that movie has been discarded. It has been wiped from existence. It is no longer, as they say, canon.
Okay.
So the only two movies that now exist, theoretically, in the Halloween universe are the 1978 Halloween movie and this movie.
Okay.
This is the sequel. 40 years later. It picks up 40 years later. Dr. Loomis has passed away. Laurie Strode is essentially in hiding in Haddonfield, like in the backwoods of Haddonfield, basically behind lock and key, and I mean like major lock and key. Security, crazy security system, gated, floodlights. She's got an arsenal in her basement. She's waiting. She's been waiting 40 years for Michael to escape the insane asylum that he is now in, that he's been in for a long time. Here's how it goes. Not surprisingly, because obviously you got to get Michael out of there, right?
Right.
So on Halloween, of course, of all days, on Halloween night, they are transferring Michael and a bunch of the other loonies to a more high security, maximum security kind of establishment. And of course, the bus crashes.
Weird. That never happens.
Never happens. The bus never crashes, and the lunatics get out. And, of course, the bus crashes in, like Haddonfield or thereabouts, so that Michael can, make his way back to his old haunt and, wreak some havoc. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give any more details from there other than to say a couple of things. One, there's a pretty surprising and significant plot twist, almost an M. Night Shyamalan kind of plot twist in the middle of the movie, not at the end, in the middle of the movie, that I actually did not see coming, but our friend of the program, Timmy Tim, actually whispered to me during the movie. He said, "Hey, I bet," and then he told me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting," and he turned out to be right.
Okay.
So it was fascinating, and you know what? At first, I kind of thought, I'm not sure how I feel about it. But I sort of actually kind of dug it afterwards. I thought it was actually kind of a cool plot twist. The other thing was the body count in this is significant and brutal. I mean, like, if you like some...
This is a slasher fic.
Yeah. If you like good slasher films and you're into, you're down with some brutal killing... Uh-huh. You're gonna be okay with this. You're gonna be okay with this. And I will say this too. And one of the reviews that I read, and in fact you've seen this probably you've probably seen this review on Facebook, because I've seen I've seen so many things on Facebook where they're showing like highlights of the movie, and then they show like some reviews. They put some reviews over it, and one of the reviews said it's not just a good horror movie; it's a good movie. I agree with that. I think it really was actually a good movie. There were some very interesting sort of plot details and a little bit of drama in the that I wouldn't have mind seeing it fleshed out a little bit more, but I don't know that they actually needed to. But just showing the sort of dynamic in the family relationship between Laurie Strode and her daughter, who's played by Judy Greer, who I think did a pretty good job in that role, and her granddaughter. That family, because it's Judy Greer, it has a daughter of her own, and she's married, and they kind of look at Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, as this sort of crazy recluse, crazy person. Yeah, she's a crazy person who's just been obsessed with Michael Myers for 40 years, and so they kind of treat her as such. But there's sort of an interesting kind of dynamic background story there that took place too. I was really happy with this movie. Just very, very happy with the movie. I liked the way it ended. I liked the story. I think they did as good a job with the story as you could possibly do. I mean, look, we know Michael's in an insane asylum. He's got to escape and get out and get back to Haddonfield, right? I mean, so we know those are the steps that have to happen in order for this to come to fruition. The way they went about it was perfectly fine. I had no issues with it. I can't say I would have done it any differently. All right. And I will give this an overall Cinebros rating of 8.5 out of 10, which lines up perfectly with the Rotten Tomatoes score for critics right now, which is at 86%. And it's a fun slasher movie. It's a kind of a thoughtful movie though in some ways. And I was really impressed with it. I was really, really impressed with it. There were so many homages to the original, and even to some other horror movies. There is one great scene that I will tell you about without it being like too much of a spoiler. I don't think, because it was really a nice nod to the original, the end of the original. You remember how the original movie ended?
I don't. It's been so many years since I've seen it.
Dr. Loomis shoots Michael Myers. He falls out the window off a balcony.
Yep.
Okay. They look out. He's laying there dead. Loomis comes back out and looks, and the body is gone.
Right.
He's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone. Okay. And that's actually how the movie ends. In this movie, Michael and Laurie Strode are battling in her upstairs room. Michael pushes her out the window. She falls. Okay. He goes back and looks, and she's not there. It was great. And actually, the crowd was cheering during that part. Yeah. It was a really cool scene. I don't know to what extent, Danny McBride was involved in this. I think it was very, very heavily, actually. But because he was one of the influential guys who really, I think, wanted to bring this movie back to the original. He wanted a lot of the original elements, and there's no doubt that happened. And I was just very impressed with this movie. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to see it again. 8.5 out of 10. Absolutely go see it this weekend. It'll get you in the spirit of Halloween.
Very good. All right. Okay. I will. I don't know if I'll go see it because obviously I'm not the biggest horror guy, but that's a great review. I mean, 8.5 out of 10. I mean, that's high praise right there from a Mike Myers Halloween lover.
And a couple of little cool things. So Michael Myers actually in this movie is played by a couple of different guys. One guy is the original guy. The original guy who played him in 1978 does suit up in certain, not the whole movie. The majority of it is actually a younger guy in the suit, but he is in it for part of it.
It's kind of like Chewbacca.
Yes. Peter Mayhew, right?
Yeah. And then they transitioned to him to a younger guy. And
yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Well, a lot of great nods and homages to the original. It was well done. It was very well done.
All right. That's pretty much it for our show. This is episode 128. You can find this show anywhere podcasts are played. That's iTunes, iHeartRadio, all those places. You can also find us on www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. That's sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. You can head on over to Twitter, find the show where we post a lot of stuff, which is at Shane and Bryman. You can also find us on Facebook where we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Monday and Saturdays, we go live at 9:45, and at Wednesdays, we go to 11. And we try and give you between a 45 minute to an hour show each time, and talk sports across the land. All sports across the land. Not all of them, but, all the major sports, and we even touch on some sorts. So live shows, Facebook, follow us, share our pages, get more people going. Over the last couple of weeks, we've gained another, 20-something people on the page, like 25 people. So, keep sharing it out, getting the word out. Share our, you can even go to YouTube and watch our videos there because we post them a few hours. It takes several hours to get them back up. Can I add something to this? Yeah.
I just want to say we appreciate, of course, the people picking up the show.
Yeah.
If you really like this show, if you really like us, if you like this brand of Sports and Swords, if you like what we do, the best thing for you to do, Shane just pointed out, share this with as many people as possible. Because if you would like for us, like we would like to do this for a living every day, we need your help. Push the show. Share the show. I don't care how obnoxious you are about it.
You want more
Twitter?
You want more camera angles? You want some high-end effects coming through?
Seriously,
we can
make this legit, but we need your help. It's great, gaining these listeners, a few at a time is awesome. But if you really want this, to become a full-time thing for us, you got to help us out. Forward the link.
I want to get those Mevo cameras. You can do you can go all over the place. They just stream automatically. You could do that. I'd like to get those. I mean, lighting would be nice.
Side profile cameras, you could show my bad side, which is this side, or my good side, which is this side.
You can show your panoramic side, which is fat side.
Right, which really stretches me out into a morbidly obese man. Yeah.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. Are we going to do that on Saturday's show? We're going to put that picture up.
I could probably get it right now.
I want you to save it for Saturday.
All right.
Save it for Saturday.
Save it for Saturday.
Do the side by side with the, the then and now.
Okay. All right. I got it.
Two pictures that were taken 72 hours apart.
Yes. It's amazing what beer does. Drinking beer, it really helps you lose some weight.
Yeah. Lots.
Who knew? Beer could do that to you?
If you drink beer, you could lose 100 pounds a day.
You could. I like the could in there.
Well, I can't guarantee it because results are not guaranteed.
Yes. But, All right. Thank you guys for listening so much. And as Brian said, please share it. We really appreciate it. And like the channel. Like us on YouTube. Just like us. Like us everywhere. Just like us. Follow us. We follow back for the most part. And we'd like to want to just get the word out. So thanks.
Want to be liked.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to be liked when you want to be liked.
Where can people find you on the interwebs?
They can find me on Twitter at @EinhornIsFinkel.
You can find me on Twitter at @the_Bry_man.
Yes, you can. And Brian's always trolling people on on Twitter too. So that's a good.
It's one of my things. I love to block
trolling and then
people
block.
I like to get the last word and then block them. It's very cowardly, but it's sort of my staple now. It's kind of my calling card. You get hashtag blocked.
Maybe someday we'll bring that back. Maybe we'll bring it back.
The block party?
The people that just started watching over the last, I don't know, month or two, 3 months.
They have no idea about the Bryman's block party.
They have no idea.
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
It really is. I mean, it was a real deal thing. I mean, I don't even know. It's in here somewhere. I mean, I'm sure. I still have it in here somewhere.
Blocked.
Yeah. Oh man, that was. Oh, here we go. Ready? I got it. All right. See you guys
Brings
later.
me back.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you on Saturday with all sorts of sports and sorts. Sunday football. We might have an idea who is moving on to the World Series. It's gonna be good. Good show. Talk to you then. Peace out. See you then. Peace. I might have a new car by then too. Peace.
Ooh.
Ooh. You can find Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman on iTunes or www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com.